Uh, Greetings to all of you from all of us in India, depending on where you are. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon. My esteemed co-panelists, Mr. S. Krishnan, Mr. Amitabh Kant, Ms. Devyani Ghosh, Mr. R.S. Sharma, and distinguished participants. Let me extend to you greetings on this wonderful occasion today, which incidentally coincides with one of the most auspicious days in India, Lodi, Makar Sankranti, Pongal, etc., and being celebrated across the country, commencement of Mahakumbh, which is one of the biggest celestial event on the planet, commencing today in Prayagraj, where over 400 million people are expected to attend. It's being held after 144 years. And incidentally, artificial intelligence is being extensively used in historic arrangements there. India is poised to become third largest economy by 2027. Generative AI will play a pivotal role in accelerating this growth. It will help in boosting productivity and efficiency and is expected to contribute $359 to $438 billion in India's GDP by 2030, fast-tracking India's march to Viksit Bharat, developed nation. The global race in AI technology is intensifying, and India must act swiftly to remain competitive and excel globally. This challenge is how do we harness this potential to our optimum use, transforming various sectors, fostering a dynamic and resilient economy. With 1.4 billion people and huge proliferation of digital infrastructure across the country, over 1 billion smartphones, and innovative, energetic youth with democratic advantage, India has enormous potential for data generation, a critical component of AI development. This data can be used to train algorithms and build models for generative AI. The AI-based transformation will revolutionize workflows, enhance customer experience, and drive innovation across sectors such as health, education, agriculture, supply chains, and small and medium enterprises, where generative AI can tremendously democratize economy. A recent article in Harvard Business Review brought out that, and I'm quoting, AI has the potential to level the playing field by using it to provide ideas, options, and solutions beyond the capabilities of a small and medium industry. It can provide management support. Smaller companies can overcome limitations of time, personnel, and resources. Some of the other possible uses of generative AI for SMEs are creation of professional-looking catalogs for thousands of products, creation of professional email responses to customer queries, creation of virtual AI chatbot-based customer support equivalent to a dedicated call center, and creation of hundreds of display ads. Under the Competition Act also, these generative AI tools can significantly help. They can lower the entry barriers in terms of Section 19, and accordingly, we can expect our homegrown SMEs, where India ranks third in the world, to compete with much larger global businesses with the use of generative AI tools. Generative AI holds promise for enhancing human creativity and solving complex problems. It can have applications in diverse fields, from autonomous vehicles and smart cities to virtual assistants in manufacturing, AI-driven robotics, enhanced precision and efficiency on production lines. AI's impact on the scientific research is profound, and AI models assisting drug discovery and climate modeling, and in the legal field, it's making the job of lawyers and judges tremendously sophisticated and advanced. India's approach to AI is democratizing AI accessibility and fostering indigenous capabilities, making a powerful tool for inclusion, human welfare, and accelerated economic growth. While AI's influence is spreading across sectors, its true value in India lies its in localization and contextualization. To briefly illustrate its sectoral impact, in healthcare, AI aids in early disease detection, personalized treatment plans, telemedicine, with tools like Niramai and DeepMind. In agriculture, AI supports precision farming, pest control, and supply chain optimization, helping farmers increase yields and reduce waste. In e-commerce, AI powers personalized recommendations and supply chain management for platforms like Flipkart, Amazon, and in ONDC also, where our colleague Mr. R.S. Sharma would be able to throw some more light. Education, AI enables personalized learning, automated grading, and AI tutoring. In legal, AI automates legal research, document review, and compliance monitoring by law firms and corporations. India is a vast country with over 20 official languages and hundreds of dialects. It is here that large language models, LLMs, can be of great use. LLMs can be used to develop sophisticated chatbots and virtual assistants, which can cater to multiple Indian languages, improving user experience and reduce problems in different parts of the country. India can be a global R&D hub in LLMs, creating cutting-edge models for regional languages and domain-specific applications. And in a country like India, it can have a tremendous application. Finally, I would like to comment on the need of expansion of our data centers. AI boom has increased demand for greater data centers profoundly due to the large-scale data generation and need for secured storage and processing systems. The focus has shifted to investing industry-specific AI frameworks aimed at solving sector-specific challenges and creating unique and customer experiences. With these words, I would pass on to my colleagues. And first of all, I'd like to invite my distinguished colleague, Mr. Krishnan. First of all, with a word of thanks for putting together this webinar. I'm grateful to him for this. And I would like to hear him on this subject, whatever you would like to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Let me first thank Mr. Dhanendra Kumar for having inspired this particular event. In MeitY, we have been working fairly assiduously on trying to make sure that we are carrying out the mandate which the government has given to us while approving the India AI mission in March of 2024. It's been about 10 months now since we got that approval, and many steps are being taken. And it's always useful to have an occasion to do an outreach in terms of what the government is attempting to do. And clearly, this webinar contributes to this. Thanks for bringing it up, and thanks for helping us organize this. Same time, Mr. Amitabh Kant, the G20 Sherpa for India, is also joining us. He's been a very inspirational example. Likewise, Mr. R.S. Sharma is also here. He's been working a lot with NHA and would have a lot to say on applications of AI in the health space. And Mrs. Debjani Ghosh, who is currently with the NITI after a very successful stint with NASSCOM, heading the Frontier Hub there and trying to do Frontier Technology Hub there and looking at possibilities of using AI and other frontier technologies in a range of areas. In this context, I think it's a very timely discussion to have and an opportunity to reach out to a much wider cross-section and group of audience. Government of India, as I already pointed out, approved a scheme for a cost of almost 10,392 crore for the India AI mission, with 7 clear pillars in which we wanted to act. The first and most important pillar is the pillar for creating an AI compute facility for India, because that is a huge requirement that we have. And we have adopted a public-private partnership model for creating this AI compute facility. That would cost, in the ultimate analysis, about 4,500 crores plus. The idea is to create a minimum of 10,000 GPU, but possibly significantly more, given the way the prices are moving in this area. And the first of the RFPs have been issued and bids have been received to empanel a number of private companies and providers of compute facility in AI. This is agnostic to technology, agnostic to vendor, and also covers a range of existing technologies which are currently being offered, including the data center possibilities that we have. We've already received 19 bids, and hopefully by the end of this month, we should have decided on the final panel of those who would be providers. And once this capacity will start becoming available in India, this will be thrown open to use by innovators, by MSMEs, by researchers and educational institutions, and also for government use. The rates and the payments that would need to be made will also be discovered as part of this process. And that would also be indicated with a possible subsidy from the government side. This is again a dynamic process because it's a rapidly changing market, and we keep adding newer vendors every 3 months or so with newer offerings in terms of technology. That's how it's been structured as an open kind of bid. There's a possibility of creating more capacity, which is sovereignly owned. And already we have some capacity through the Airavat AI system, which is managed by CDAC, and more capacity is being added as part of the National Supercomputing Mission. And even under the AI mission, we have the possibility of adding sovereign capacity, which will be with a private MSP. So all of this is very much in the realm of possibilities. But the first step in terms of contracting the first 10,000 GPU is already underway, and hopefully it'll be available in a month or so for use by various users within the country, people who are using it overseas. The second major element, which was already spoken of, is what we can do in terms of a foundational model for India. There's been some debate in terms of whether India should do a large language model of its own, or whether we should simply build applications. We've had extensive discussions with experts from across the world, including many Indian scientists who are working with leading AI companies across the world, both startups and leading tech companies. Finally, based on the kind of input and feedback that we've received, I think it's not an either-or question, at least as far as India is concerned. Applications, of course, have to be developed, and we have a parallel vertical to take care of that. But a foundational model for India is also needed, and this could span 2 or 3 kinds of requirements. One is a large multimodal model, which will look at not just written text, but also images, videos, and spoken language, which is extremely important in an Indian context, because so much of communication actually will take place through spoken language, and that's what will truly make it inclusive, particularly when we are able to bring in all the 22 Indian languages and more dialects if possible. The Bhashini program, which is already functioning under METI, is an important element of this, and that will also be brought in within this overall ambit. So that would also make AI in India that much more inclusive. And I already mentioned that applications is an important area. Possible applications were already mentioned by Mr. Dhanendra Kumar, and more will be done. We are aiming to look at applications in at least 25 areas. The first round of RFP for that, the first call for proposals for applications has already been done, with 14 problem statements grouped into 5 areas, and we've received over 900 responses. And that again should be finalized in the coming weeks and awarded to various institutions and groups of institutions, so that they can actually give us solutions which can then be applied across various states and other entities. And most of them relate to areas which have already been highlighted, like health, education, MSMEs, and so on. The interesting thing is, again, it's a multi-stakeholder approach in terms of various entities who are actively participating in this. Recently, I was in a discussion with the UN Undersecretary General of State, where he termed a fairly interesting phrase called Samaj, Sarkar, or Bazaar in the way that the multi-stakeholder approach is built. And I think that actually very appropriately represents what India is attempting to do and what MeitY is attempting to do through the India AI mission and that vertical on applications. And thereafter, we have another important vertical which deals with developing data sets. The importance of data sets has already been emphasized. The idea there is to build interoperable standards and have meta standards by which various available data sets are refined and suitably anonymized for use for AI purposes. And that is, to bring them into a machine readable format and in a manner that would actually be useful for use within AI, and that would be an important element of what we would be attempting to do. And the fifth element is skilling, which is absolutely vital, and that truly holds India's opportunity. If there is one indicator on which India is doing very well in terms of AI preparedness, it is basically the human resources, the large number of STEM graduates we have, the large number of people who are relatively young given our overall median age. And this could possibly be the opportunity, almost like the Y2K opportunity arose for the Indian IT industry in the late 90s, which took it to its present levels. There have been various estimates that the number of people who could be engaged in this segment could near about 4.7 million, 47 lakhs in India. And that is a crucial opportunity which we can take advantage of. And that's really possible only if we train them effectively and if we skill them effectively. It should address India in terms of providing the AI skilled human resources for the world, could address some of the concerns regarding job losses as well, at least in the Indian context. And we can take that forward. So that is as far as the fifth vertical and skilling is concerned. The sixth vertical relates to what we want to do with startups. That's again a very significant vertical with a lot of allocation of funding. And the intent there is to make sure that because most of the innovation in the AI space, both in terms of developing models and in terms of eventually application development, which can be used in different contexts, usually comes from startups and new companies. So we have close to about 1,900 crores, which is allocated to this particular vertical, because we believe that this can play a significant role in the way that the AI innovation takes place in India. And this is something which will be implemented through the MeitY Startup Hub and other agencies which are currently working on promoting startups, including deep tech startups in the country. And the last and the seventh pillar basically relates to the safe and trusted AI pillar, which is basically about creating the guardrails which we often speak about. Recently, MeitY put out a subcommittee's report, a subgroup report chaired by the principal scientific advisor, Dr. Ajay Sood, on what AI governance should look like and what AI regulation should look like. That paper is receiving detailed views from a number of participants and is also being reviewed. Ms. Debjani Ghosh was also a member of that subgroup. And there are some interesting suggestions on what India's approach to regulating AI and also ensuring that we develop tools for deploying safe and trusted AI could be. And even in this space, we have separately awarded 8 other research studies to various institutions on developing various tools to encourage or ensure safe and trusted AI. So these are the 7 mechanisms that we are operating through, and almost on all these mechanisms, work has already started, and so we are proceeding apace. And the interesting thing about the AI space really is the large input that we get from a range of stakeholders. Everybody is today engaged with AI. Every ministry wants to do something in AI. And MeitY is playing more a coordination role and leading primarily on the technology side, while on the application side, we actually help various ministries and even state governments and other private entities to develop use cases and see how we can push it forward. And therefore, a wider participation from a range of players becomes extremely important in this space. And I'm sure an occasion like this really encourages that. So let me stop here so that we have inputs from the other members. This is what the government is doing currently, but I can answer questions later if there are any. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Krishnan. It is a very elaborate overview you have given, and you are truly in the hot seat the moment, according to Mr. Amitabh Bachchan's phrase, and you are piloting the whole initiative. So thanks a lot, and we look forward to hearing you later, time permitting. Now, if I may invite Mr. Amitabh Kant, first of all, let me thank him most sincerely. When I called him, he was in South Africa, and he readily agreed. And Mr. Amitabh Kant is very well known figure. Is apart from being G20 Sherpa, he was also CEO of Niti Aayog, and earlier he has been a very well known name in tourism and in various other fields. So I'm very grateful to you for agreeing to speak and support us. So over to you, Mr. Amitabh Kant.
Thank you. Let me first thank Mr. Dhanendra Kumar and Mr. Krishnan for organizing this. I'm delighted to be in the company of very distinguished people like Mr. Krishnan, Mr. Arish Sharma, and Debjani. Let me start by saying that I've always advocated for the use of frontier technologies, and I've extensively written about the role of technological disruption, which is critical if India is to become a Viksit Bharat. If we have to move from a $4 trillion economy to a $30 trillion economy, then artificial intelligence will have to play a very critical and a very significant role. So I'm a huge believer in the transformative power of generative AI, not merely for India, but for the global South and the world. We are standing at the cusp of an AI revolution, and generative AI, with its ability to create new content and solve complex problems, will be revolutionizing industries and societies. Several countries are the same level because there is a technological disruption taking place. But those who take the lead will go far ahead. And for India, with its young population, a very vibrant tech ecosystem, and India is a country with very unique challenges. Challenges of improving learning outcomes, health outcomes, nutritional standards. All these are critical challenges. This technology presents a unique opportunity, one that we should make the most of. And generative AI has the potential to boost productivity and efficiency across sectors. From manufacturing to agriculture, it can drive and is already driving innovation and entrepreneurship. It is creating totally new kind of jobs and businesses and enhancing. In due course, it will enhance India's competitiveness in the global economy. So, Mr. Dhanendra Kumar has spoken about many of its benefits, and I wouldn't like to dwell upon them because we can offer solutions for personalized health and education, precision, agriculture, efficient supply chain management, industrial processes, all that. I don't want to get into these spell on what the transformation that can be done. But generative AI takes us a step forward by telling us all that how things can be radically improved. And therefore, my view is, let me dwell a little bit on how we can use it for India's socio-economic development and for green growth. Because generative AI can address societal challenges like poverty, healthcare access, and education inequality. It can empower marginalized communities with AI-driven tools and solutions. And AI-powered diagnostic tools for rural healthcare, personalized learning platform for students, and assistive technologies for the specially abled can make a huge difference in India. And let me also say, ladies and gentlemen, that we are in the midst of a major climate change, where, in my mind, generative AI can be a very powerful ally. We can develop AI solutions for climate modeling, renewable energy optimization, disaster prediction, and all these can help India achieve its sustainable development goals, because our target is to achieve net zero by 2070. We can mitigate the impacts of climate change. AI powered systems can optimize energy grids. They can help us monitor deforestation and predict extreme weather conditions. And I would say that uh, in healthcare, AI can accelerate drug discovery and development in India and make us leapfrog from generic to very specialized value added drugs. It can improve disease diagnosis and personalized treatment plans. It can enhance healthcare access and affordability, particularly in vast range of underserved areas. So if you want Bihar, UP, Chhattisgarh, Jharkhand, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan to leapfrog and to make India grow equitably, then we need AI powered tools for early disease detection, drug repurposing, and telemedicine consultations in many of these states. We need AI, generative AI, for improving learning outcomes in many of these areas. And they can redefine the future of both education and healthcare. I strongly feel that, while all of us in the government often look at, talk about AI, and many of us have started using it, generative AI has the potential to transform governance itself. And this is particularly important in the context of a large country like India, because it can improve public service delivery, it can enhance transparency and accountability, and in many, many areas at cutting edge, it can combat corruption. It can empower the citizens with access to information and services through AI powered platforms. And therefore, my view is that the power of it in governance must be pushed very radically. We in India are uniquely positioned to harness the power of generative AI. Our India is a young population with demographic, very low dependency burden, and I think demography is our key advantage. We have a young and very tech-savvy population, which provides a large pool of AI development and adoption, and our thriving tech ecosystem, with its vibrant startup culture, can provide a very fertile ground for AI innovation. My view is that our diverse population and digital infrastructure offers unique opportunity for training AI models on very large and diverse data sets. And these data sets need to be made available to our startups. They need to be made in an anonymized manner, open to public, so that many young people can utilize on them. Government keeps sitting on these data sets without anonymizing and without putting them in public domain. And this, it's necessary that if we have to benefit from generative AI, then government will have to play a critical role in huge amount of data which is available with government being put out in public domain. There is also a need for a pro-innovation regulation and safeguards. We should acknowledge the challenges, because bridging the digital divide and ensuring equitable access is critical. Robust data protection frameworks are needed to safeguard privacy and prevent misuse of generative AI in several areas. We have to address ethical concern around biases, fairness, and accountability in AI systems. So I personally, though I'm not, I always feel that there is a need not to over-regulate. There's a need for a pro-innovation regulation. the future of regulation should be one that is pro-innovation and pro-citizen. This means that while we must allow AI to flourish, we must ensure that it remains safe, it must remain unbiased, and does not intrude upon the privacy of our citizens. So, what the government should really do is to strike a balance between training AI models on a large and diverse data sets that exist within India, but also by doing this in a manner that in no way infringes upon personal data of our citizens in an identifiable manner. So let me conclude by saying that we have a unique opportunity not only to benefit from generative AI, but also to shape its future. We can be a global leader in responsible AI development and deployment. We can demonstrate how this technology can be used to drive inclusive and sustainable development. We in India have many watershed missions and moments, from Skill India, Startup India, Digital India, Incredible India, National Green Hydrogen Mission, National Semiconductor Mission, aspirational district programs, aspiration block programs, now our UPI and DPI model. And what will be the horizontal across each of these missions, giving them the velocity that they need, that should be the India AI mission. As we stand on the brink of this transformation, it's important to reflect on the challenge. How can we ensure that generative AI becomes a force for good? How can we harness its potential to uplift every Indian, whether it's a farmer in a remote village, a creator in a bustling city, or a child in a rural classroom? And by leveraging our strengths, addressing the challenges, and by fostering a very collaborative ecosystem, as Mr. Krishnan is now doing through the several verticals, we will be unlocking in due course the true potential of generative AI for India. And when we address the challenges of our 1.4 billion people of India, we'll be addressing the challenges of the next 4 billion people who will be moving from poverty to middle class. Thank you very much.
You are on mute, Krishnan.
I think Mr. Dhanendra Kumar's screen is frozen. Could I request Mr. Arish Sharma, Dr. Arish Sharma, to make the next intervention, please? Thank you, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Krishnan and Mr. Dhanendra Kumar. I think both Mr. Kumar and Krishnan, and of course, finally, Amitabh have spoken extensively on the benefits of generative AI and its potential to transform various sectors in the process. I'm a first principle person. I'm not really, I probably start first understanding what a technology is and how does it work before I start sort of thinking of its application. So what I have done during the last couple of months is essentially understand what is the machine learning, what are neural networks, what are the other kinds of technologies, how they work. And therefore, I think, and then, of course, what could be potential applications of these technologies? What are the areas in which they can be used? So let me begin from the first principle. Initially we had programs which worked on the data in a very structured manner and operated and, told what to do, if, then, and all those kinds of stuff. Then, of course, the machine learning is not something which is very new. It was done, the term was invented way back in 1959. But of course, it did not accelerate. People just did not understand the kind of massive potential of that particular technologies. Of course, Microsoft and other companies started creating games which actually were able to, defeat individuals. And the essential differentiator between the structured programming and the machine learning was that the data was the one which actually taught the machines how to, how to kind of behave or how to predict, how to conclude. So it is the data and not the programming which were actually guiding the entire thing. And then the training data became the very, very basic fuel for the generative AI machine learning. And of course, then came that paper in 2018, which is, the title Google, and one or two of the Indian people were also participant of that, writers, authors of that, not participant. And basically it says attention is all you need. So this introduced the concept of transformers. And once the transformers came, then the entire thing exploded virtually. And then, of course, the various tools like ChatGPT and DALI and various other tools also developed, which started generating and creating images, videos, music, all kinds of stuff. So I think that's where this fundamental way the whole technology works, and that the capacity for it to train itself on the data, massive data, then of course not only train, but also, kind of use the neural networks to essentially draw conclusions of various types, whether it is descriptive, generative, or even sort of classifications, etc. That started developing. That became the turning point into this entire technology. And therefore, these technologies are the ones which have now started being applied in a very massive way. So before I delve into the question, and of course I'll talk about health, because that has been my latest area in which I worked till 2023 January end. The sort of Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission was launched, and the whole idea of that program was to digitize the health records and digitize the health interaction, and of course create efficiencies, affordabilities, and other kinds of using technology for service delivery in the healthcare sector was the broad objective of the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission. And the learning from that is, as I said, data is the basic input. And of course, while there is a huge amount of data available and big companies have invested hugely into creating the models based on large data, you must understand that this data is not specifically in the health sector. This data is not the Indian, people's data. This data is either a synthetic data or a data which is basically from the Western countries, anonymized data. So I think, but health is such an issue which is, while it is global, it is also local. There are many diseases which don't exist anywhere in the world and which exist in India, and vice versa. So therefore, I think what is important is to unlock the health data. And Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission is one of the basic, ways in which we had started that process of unlocking the data, which will become the basic training data. And maybe it's a data overlay on top of the generalized data, which we already have. We can have the Indian specific data on top of that. So I will deal with the issue of availability of the data. Now, what has happened is Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission has started, and now we have about 6 billion records available, which are linked to the Aadhaar identifier. But there are two constraints. One is that the facilities, health facilities, which are participating in the ABDM, while they want to see everybody else's data, they don't want to share their own data. So therefore, there is a need to have a regulation which must ensure that, the entities must share the data with the National Health Authority. And we are not talking about sharing data. At least the data must become available at the patient's command, because patient is the master of the data. He's the owner of the data. So therefore, that part is something which needs to be done, because unless that ecosystem starts building up, the entire way in which the ABDM is structured, which is essentially democratizing the access of the patient's data to the patients at his command. He is able to share the data with the doctor to whom he is going to visit, and he is able to get the data on demand for his diagnostic things and other kinds of things. That is very, very essential for this entire ecosystem to thrive. And unfortunately, we don't have any regulatory kind of guidance about this issue. That's one part. Secondly, we have the large amount of data in the Ayushman Bharat Digital Mission, I mean, in the ABPMJY, the Pradhan Mantri Jan Arogya Yojana. As you know, from the day one in 2018, this entire scheme has been on a digital platform. So every reimbursement claims which comes is actually already a part of the digital pipeline which happens. Now the National Health Authority and the Ministry of Health must ensure, as rightly pointed out by Amitabh, that we must have the anonymization of the data done, and that data must be democratically made available to all these startups and every company which actually wants to work on this data. This is very, very, I mean, it's like a digital public good. This must happen. And India is a leader in, showing to the world that we are the leader in digital public infrastructure and digital public good. And this is something which should be made available to the ecosystem, so that we are able to do multiple things with this data. And everything, like in healthcare, early diagnostics, diagnostics can be democratized. AI assisted diagnostic, synthetic data generation, predictive modeling as to how a disease is going to progress. Then, of course, drug discovery and development can be expedited using this data and the ABDM data. Then personalized medicines can be given. Then health record management. For example, we have all the prescriptions and everything on the digital platform. Now, while I agree with Krishnan's sort of the desire to have what is called machine readable data, but that may not actually happen immediately. But what can happen is that AI can help us in reading that data and making that machine readable, and then this can be made use of in the health records management. Health records management can make use of this data. Then, of course, we can have patient engagement, surgical assistance, mental health support. We can have huge applications in the health space. And what it's going to do is, my another belief is that any technology is useless unless it addresses the bottom of the pyramid. And it does, because essentially it is going to make the healthcare services more cost effective. That's, I think, very, very important. And this use of teleconsultation, and then finally making use of AI for doing the diagnosis, for doing the other kinds of stuff is also very, very important. So once it becomes affordable, health service delivery becomes affordable, and it becomes ubiquitous using the teleconsultation. And fortunately, India has got now the cheapest data rate in the world. We are having 4G connectivity, we are having 5G connectivity, we are having all kinds of, so there are a lot of positives which are already there, which can be leveraged to ensure that we are able to better make use of artificial intelligence and generative AI for better healthcare services delivery. What we need is, obviously, as Amitabh said, data privacy and security are of paramount importance, especially in the health space, because health data is the most sensitive of data. So we must ensure that this data is secure and privacy is maintained. We should have bias and fairness. As I said, the data is of European fellows or the Americans will not really be of, maybe that will suffer from the bias. So that should not happen. Then, of course, ethical concerns are there. Balancing the use of synthetic data and AI-driven decisions with the need for human oversight in critical situations is also very, very important. I think the Digital India and now, of course, AI mission, both these together are really going to transform the landscape. And I have no doubt that given the focus which we have had in the digital space specifically in the last 10, 15 years, I think we have the great opportunity to essentially make this transformation happen. Also remember that India is one country which has, having developed the digital identity, we have developed the consent artifact, which actually is very important for sharing your health data. And that is something which is going to again become very helpful in ensuring that the data becomes available and we are able to make better choices, we are able to make better diagnosis, we are able to make very, very cost effective and frugal health service delivery. Obviously, I don't need to say, everybody else has said that there are myriad applications of the generative AI in the education space. Education, I was the other day, I was hearing to this guy, Khan Academy, Khan Migo, and he was actually describing how generative AI has transformed the education delivery, which is a personalized education to each student. I mean, it is phenomenal because you can't have that with the manpower, as much manpower as you may like to have. You can't have that. So this is something, there are multiple areas where the area service delivery is going to be transformed. And I'm sure India will emerge as a world leader in doing that with the focus which the government has given to digital India and of course the AI mission and other kinds of related adjacent missions. Thank you very much.
You're muted, sir. Sir, you're muted.
Yes, now I think I'm unmuted. Well, I was unfortunately disconnected for a brief while towards the end of Mr. Amitabh Kant's speech. And I must compliment Mr. R.S. Sharma. He is uniquely positioned, having been chairman of TRI in the IT and in the health space and so on. So he is uniquely positioned, of course, earlier in the Aadhaar card system and so on. So to speak on many of these things, so therefore, your speech was very comprehensive, and I must thank you for elaborating on many aspects which are otherwise left out. So many thanks for what you spoke. And we come now to the last speaker of the evening, not last but not the least. Devyani she is one of the best known names in the technology space. She has been the first lady chair of NASSCOM, and of course, a very well-known name. She is currently the Distinguished Fellow in Niti Aayog. And we are very keenly looking forward to hearing you, madam. What do you think about this subject, and how can we leverage generative AI for the SMEs and for the startups, and also for technology infusion generally in the field? Over to you, Devyani.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kumar, and very good evening to Mr. Kant, Mr. Krishnan, Mr. Sharma, and all my friends who have joined today. So thank you for taking the time. I think the three speakers spoke tremendously well about what is generative AI, why is it important for us, what are some of the areas that we need to care about in India, and how do we really make it work for us. So I'm going to take the last few minutes to talk about the evolution of generative AI, because most people today still think about generative AI as ChatGPT or Claude, etc., that is writing for us, creating text or images, etc. But for those of you who are AI enthusiasts and who've been watching this space, especially the last few weeks, or rather the last few months, the pace at which AI has been evolving and the evolution of generation in AI has been frankly almost jaw-dropping. I mean, this is the kind of speed which is beyond human imagination, what we have seen in the last few weeks. So today, most of us think of generative AI and we think about LLMs that creates text, images, but in the last few weeks, we have started witnessing something far more profound. The use of foundation models to generate everything from fundamental biology to service delivery and disrupt these fields, right? Um, Few watershed moments. Consider the watershed moment in July, if I'm not wrong, well, mid 2024, when biology experiences chat GPT moment. Not too many people talk about it, but it was way more transformative than any chat GPT or any other LLM out there. When a group of scientists, and I think most of them were from Meta, got together and they created an AI model that could generate proteins rather than words, and proteins that were previously unknown to nature. Still early days, still a lot of work has to happen, but this breakthrough hints at extraordinary possibilities. Think of a future where uh, scientists, doctors can custom design protein structures, enabling precisely targeted treatment of diseases like cancer, revolutionizing drug discovery to the next level, accelerating vaccine development. All of this can completely change how we even think about healthcare. The other big evolution that happened again over the last few months was the shift from large language models, LLMs, to large action models, LAMs, which is now the next phase of generative AI. So while LLMs excel in predicting what to say next, LAMs take AI to the next level by predicting what to do next. So it pretty much decomposes a complex task into actionable steps. So if you say, now you might go to an LLM and say, I'm going to Spain, please give me the best possible itinerary. It will do that. With an LAM, it pretty much goes to the next level of finding you the right prices from the hotels and then breaking it down to airfares, finding you the airfares. Then the next step is, do I book your tickets for you? Of course, with the human approval and reinforcement loop built in. But the power of LAMs to make decisions, plan actions, and it has the ability to learn from experience autonomously. So that's where it really gets revolutionary. That makes a significant departure from traditional AI. Traditional AI is narrow AI. We teach it what to do and it does it brilliantly. But now we are entering the era where AI is not only good at doing what it's taught to do, what it's trained to do, but it is trained to do more and think about it. So reasoning comes in here and then take actions on our behalf or with our approval, which is going to create a completely new era in the evolution of AI and generative AI. And this brings the advent of, I'm sure by now all of you have heard about it, the advent of agentic AI. And this is staggering, right? I mean, market projections, if you look at it, indicate, I think with in from 5.1 billion in 2024, that was the total agentic AI market, global market, to a whopping 47.1 billion by 2030. This is a compound annual growth of 44.8%. And the growth trajectory underscores the transformative potential of agentic AI across industries, promising substantial improvement, productivity, and operational efficiency. So we talk about generative AI, its biggest promise in productivity, right? This takes productivity or productivity gains to the next level, especially in industrial AI. And this is catalyzing a fundamental shift in the technology landscape, which is very important for India, because what we are seeing with agentic AI is the shift from software as a service, SaaS, as we all know it, to service as a software. And this is becoming a very, very important shift. So, traditional SaaS platforms like Salesforce, HubSpot, Slack, or even the Indian companies, Zoho, Freshwork, they today provide tools to assist employees in performing tasks, right? However, the onus of execution still rests with the user. What agentic AI does is it revolutionizes this model by shifting the focus from offering tools to delivering outcomes. And this is a fantastic opportunity for Indian companies, SaaS as well as tech services. Because in order to be good in agentic AI, you have to go deep. You have to go into vertical. And that has been the area of strength for Indian startups, Indian companies in the AI space. We have not played till now, the horizontal game of building these large language models. I'm not getting into whether it's needed or not, but I'm saying till now we have not played. But we've definitely played the game of going vertical and building the initial word was wrappers and applications. And honestly, earlier, 6 months back, all of us looked down on it, saying, oh, India's only building wrappers and applications. But today, that's the billion dollar opportunity. That's where the monetization and application opportunities are, and the impact opportunities are, because you need those applications to make AI real. And that is a huge, I think, strength for India if we play, if we really act fast and leverage the opportunity quickly. I think this is going to be a huge game changing opportunity for India, because it's not just redefining the software market, it's expanding the addressable market from 350 billion SaaS ecosystem today to a multi-trillion dollar services sector. And it's opening up the game for everyone. So this is a huge opportunity for our startups and also for our companies. However, I think all the previous speakers have mentioned, with great potential comes great responsibility. And as we stand at this technological crossroad, our success hinges on three critical pillars. Do we have the robust ethical governance? And we will need it even more now, given that we are getting into the era of autonomous AI. Ethical governance just becomes 100x more important. Do we have the processes to ensure equitable access? Because again, as the evolution in AI makes it much more powerful in terms of providing that productivity boost, we need to ensure it is available to all. And last but not the least, are we preparing our workforce for this new era? This is a significant shift, not just in skills, but in mindset. And are we building that mindset early? If we navigate these challenges successfully, I believe that the AI revolution will transcend mere technological advancement. It will truly represent a pivotal moment in our history, in human history, to empower us to tackle some of the most pressing challenges and forge a much more promising future for all of us. So, with that, I'll hand it back to you, Mr. Kumar. Thank you.
Thank you, Devyani. It's been a very educative conversation you gave us in the sense that several new areas and what technology can mean for the new aspiring startups and so on. So thank you so much for your comments. Now, I noticed that we don't have much time left for any Q&A, but if I may be permitted to only just give 1 minute each to the speakers in case they would like to add anything else to what they have already stated. So if I could start by Mr. Krishnan, would you like to say anything else apart from what you have very comprehensively you have given, but anything else you would like
No,
to
sir,
say?
nothing specifically now, unless there's a specific question to which I need to respond.
Well, there have been many questions, and if you permit, I would, in view of the paucity of time, we could send answers to these people who have raised questions, because it's already 6:30 and the time is up. So we won't be able to take up questions, unfortunately. So we could possibly...
We will give them written responses.
We can give them written responses. So I think that's the best way we can respond to them. Amitabh ji, would you like to say anything?
If there is anything particular, if there's any specific question relating to what I dwelt upon, I'll be very happy to respond.
Well, there are so many interrelated questions. There are questions relating to India's stand in the global committee on the climate change and so on, but these are all wider issues. We won't be able to elaborate on those questions now. So if you permit, we'll send you the questions, those relate to you, each one of you, and you could possibly help us in sending the answers, so if that is okay with you. There are lots of questions on healthcare and on the rural healthcare in particular. So Mr. Sharma, you have already covered many of these things, but still, I think we would seek your permission to send you the questions which relate to your subject, which you have covered, and we could then send written answers
Sure,
to,
sure, sir.
to them. So with these few words, let me first of all thank MeitY and India AI Mission, Mr. Krishnan and his colleague, Mr. Abhishek Singh, for the very informative, very instructive, and in my view, very useful webinar, which has been put together by them. And to the learned speakers for this evening, who have given their time, very valuable time, at the fag end of the day. And it's been a pleasure hearing you all, Amitabh, as usual. And there have been one or two questions about the tourism part, which I thought I could possibly raise to you. But anyways, and of course, Mr. Sharma has been very elaborate in all his comments. So many thanks to you. And Devyani, you have really spoken very instructively on the SaaS part, services as a software as a service and so on. And we have seen a lot of growth in the AI space in the India startups. And of course, generative AI is a very helpful tool for the new startups. And I hope that, I mean, I'm basically a competition guy, as I spoke in the beginning. I hope that this is going to be very helpful for the Indian startups in raising them to bigger units and provide competition to the bigger players in the field. India is one of the biggest, in fact, the third largest ecosystem in the startup space, and I am very excited that generative AI can possibly be a very useful tool for them. So with these words, may I, from my side and from the side of all the people concerned, extend a very sincere and very cordial thanks to Mr. Krishnan, Mr. Abhishek Singh, and his colleagues in the MeitY, and Tanvi and others, Kavita. They have been extremely helpful in the preparation. It has been put together in a short span of time, and they have been extremely busy, but they gave me very generously their time and support. And many thanks to them. And once again, many thanks to the learned speakers. One of the most distinguished stellar panel I've handled. So many thanks to all of you. And many thanks to the audience, about over 700 registered and over 200 participated any given point of time. So many thanks to you for your attention and for your questions and your interest. So wonderful. Thanks to everyone. And I look forward to continuing this conversation in some form or the other later. Thanks once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Krishnan.
We had a report today